A man grabs a handful of yellow sand and stuffs it into his mouth, his face full of pain and despair. He hasn't eaten for a full 7 days. Who would have thought that in the not-too-distant year 2064, the entire world had already turned into a desert due to nuclear war? The wealthy merchants exhausted their resources, enclosed the soon-to-be dried ocean, and built a dream city on that spot. It's said that resources there are inexhaustible, and everyone lives a dream-like life. In stark contrast, the surviving humans outside the city are like cockroaches struggling in the apocalypse, suffering daily in hunger and conflict. Their greatest dream is to enter the Dream City, and for this, they secretly established an organization called the Freedom Alliance. One day, someone discovered that the guards from Dream City actually came out of the city voluntarily. From a salvaged walkie-talkie, everyone obtained important information. A resident had secretly slipped out of Dream City and was carrying a bomb. With almost no suspense, this resident fell into the hands of the Freedom Alliance. Seeing the bomb in his arms, squad leader Kaiji's eyes lit up. Dream City has armored vehicles transporting supplies in and out every week. In normal times, the Freedom Alliance had no way to deal with this iron contraption, but now with this bomb, he's confident of pulling off something big. After confirming the transport vehicle's route in advance, Kaiji had someone bury the bomb in the ground. Feeling the timing was about right, he pressed the detonator without hesitation. Accompanied by a loud explosion, yellow sand flew everywhere. Even if there were surviving guards in the armored vehicle, they were now shaken to complete disorientation and posed almost no threat. Looking at the food cans scattered all over the ground, the starving survivors rushed forward desperately. Some couldn't help but start swallowing on the spot. The Freedom Alliance warriors took the opportunity to spread propaganda, claiming their duty was to ensure all survivors had full bellies, and that someday they would even occupy Dream City. At this moment, Kaiji keenly discovered that a time bomb was mixed in with the food. He immediately warned everyone to leave, but unfortunately, everyone was still a step too late. The sky-high fire and shockwave, those poor survivors paid with their lives for a bite of food. Fortunately, Kaiji ran fast, otherwise he would have had to stay and be buried with them. Enduring the pain, he returned to the church, which was one of the Freedom Alliance's bases. The boy who ran out from Dream City was named Lotto. Kaiji discovered new value in him. Since you could escape from Dream City, don't you also have a way to sneak in? However, before Lotto could speak, a team of Dream City guards rushed in. For a moment, everyone was scared and scattered in all directions. Lotto also took the opportunity to leave the church, with Kaiji in hot pursuit behind him. Unknowingly, they came to an abandoned residential house, but unexpectedly, the wall suddenly exploded and he was knocked unconscious by the blast. When Kaiji awoke again, the boy Lotto had long since disappeared. At some point, a homeless man appeared beside him, begging Kaiji to give his child something to eat. But Kaiji's eyes widened in horror because Dream City guards had already caught up. He quickly moved his body behind the balcony. That homeless man didn't flee, but in desperation begged the guards for help. What he got in return was just a cold bullet. Kaiji's heart tightened, and he took the opportunity to escape into the adjacent room. He hadn't eaten for several days either and was starving. But unexpectedly, a woman also ran over to fight for food. At this point, Kaiji wasn't concerned about any moral principles. The two people competed to open the 10 cans on the shelf, but unfortunately, there was no food in any of them. To grab the last can, Kaiji directly pulled out a stun gun and shocked this troublesome woman unconscious. At this moment, sounds suddenly came from outside. He instinctively hid in the nearest closet. Through the gap, he clearly saw several guards leering at the woman evilly, and finally they directly dragged her out. Kaiji's eyes darkened. The woman's fate was predictable, and that can he finally managed to grab was also empty. He cursed silently in his heart. Suddenly, the walkie-talkie on the ground transmitted a call. Kaiji faintly heard the 3 words, "safe house." He recognized this was left by that woman, so he quickly picked up the walkie-talkie. He could tell the other party seemed to care very much about the girl who was dragged away. Kaiji stated bluntly that he would only reveal her whereabouts if he could go to the safe house. Following the walkie-talkie's guidance, he came to an abandoned school. However, after searching all around, he didn't see any safe house. Just when Kaiji thought he'd been played, the cover plate on the ground slowly rose, revealing an entrance leading underground. Suddenly, gunfire came from all directions. He had no choice but to quickly drill into the passage before him. Following the ladder to the next level, Kaiji passed through another heavy iron door. A figure suddenly appeared ahead, demanding he hand over everything on his body, not even leaving a single piece of clothing. Kaiji hesitated but complied. Suddenly, a stream of clear water fell from above. This was an extremely valuable resource in the apocalyptic world. The man slowly closed his eyes, greedily sniffing this fountain of life. The next moment, the water flow stopped, and the frosted, transparent door slowly opened. The owner of the safe house finally revealed himself. His name was Tom. The reason he made Kaiji bathe was simply because he didn't want him to dirty his safe house. Tom asked several times in a row where his companion Addie had gone. Kaiji didn't answer, but slowly picked up the tin can on the table. Unlike the previous times, this can was full of large chunks of meat products. Tom wasn't in a hurry either. After Kaiji had eaten his fill, he meaningfully indicated that Addie was the same way, always stuffing his mouth full of food. Kaiji couldn't tell the truth. If Tom knew Addie was already dead, himself would very likely be kicked out of this comfortable place. While eating the meat chunks, he vaguely lied that he had encountered Addie in the civilian area, but they were attacked by the guard squad and ran off separately. After eating and drinking his fill, Kaiji was arranged by Tom in a guest bedroom. Gently stroking the soft mattress, the man's heart inexorably rippled. He had never slept on such a soft bed in his entire life. Kaiji slept beautifully until noon the next day. Tom asked Kaiji to do him a favor, to go out and find Addie. However, Kaiji refused, using the excuse that his foot was injured. Human nature is greedy. After enjoying a good life, who would still be willing to go outside and suffer? He spent his time behind a heavy iron door. Even though Kaiji occasionally had thoughts of rebellion, he really couldn't find an opportunity to act. Until this day, he discovered that the food Tom was providing was getting less and less. After inquiring, he learned that the missing Addie was responsible for going out to find supplies. Now his stock was almost exhausted. Kaiji thought about it and finally decided not to hide it anymore. He said he personally saw Addie being dragged away by 3 guards, and most likely things had gone badly for him. Tom kept shaking his head, obviously unable to accept this reality. Kaiji felt the timing was about right, gripping a dagger tightly in his hand. But unexpectedly, the next moment, the record player made a harsh noise. Tom actually moved first. He directly raised a bone hammer and smashed it down hard. Only at this moment did the whole truth surface. From the moment Kaiji picked up the walkie-talkie, he had already stepped into the trap Tom had carefully prepared. Using the safe house as a lure, he had deceived infinite amounts of greedy people to come to their deaths. Tom took out his long, hungry cleaver and began processing this fresh ingredient. Kaiji wasn't the first victim, naturally couldn't be the last. This woman named Lisa unfortunately became Tom's new prey. Only this time was slightly different. Beside Lisa was another man, none other than Lotto, who had previously escaped from Dream City. Tom used the old trick, making Lisa hand over all her items, but for safety's sake, he temporarily let only one person in, saying he must get rid of Lotto no matter what. After all, the safe house's supplies couldn't support so many people. However, Lisa unusually firmly spoke out to stop him, because Lotto was a resident from Dream City who knew a secret passage back to the city. If they handed him over to the Freedom Alliance, there would be hope of breaking into that city. Tom hesitated for a long time, but finally chose to give in. He even kindly provided a can of food. Watching Lisa wolfing at it, he meaningfully indicated that the last guest also stuffed food into their mouth. Then Tom stated the reason for keeping Lotto. He hated Dream City people from the bottom of his heart,
and also wanted to let the other party experience the taste of starving to death. Lisa's heart stirred. She originally thought she had met a good person, but turned out he was a twisted pervert inside. Taking advantage of Tom sleeping, Lisa quietly came to the glass door. She would find a way to protect Lotto's safety, but if they could get out, Lotto must take her to infiltrate Dream City. This was the lifelong dream of every survivor outside the walls. The boy thought about it and finally agreed to this deal. Not like Kaiji, who wanted to take over the nest before, Lisa only wanted to escape with Lotto. While searching for keys this day, she inadvertently saw the mark Kaiji left behind. Who would have thought there was actually a secret door behind this forbidden cabinet? Unfortunately, before Kaiji could go in and check, he met Tom's murderous hand.
Lisa walked into the secret passage with an uneasy heart and discovered this was actually Tom's bedroom. The man himself was lying on the floor sound asleep. Although the woman was afraid in her heart, she didn't want to miss this opportunity. Tiptoeing around searching, she finally found a string of keys. She first stuffed the walkie-talkie and diary into Lato's hands, telling him to quickly call Freedom Alliance warriors. Just as she was about to open the door, she was interrupted by Lato. The boy was almost starving to death, telling her to first go to the storeroom to find some food. Lisa thought this made sense. Even if they escaped, food was indispensable. The densely packed tin cans on the shelves could only be described as shocking. But before Lisa could be happy, she sadly discovered that these tin cans were all empty. Every time the woman tried, her disappointment deepened until she came to the innermost cold storage room. On the cutting board were several pieces of meat. Lisa fumbled to stuff them into a tin can and suddenly felt her stomach churning. When she fled the storeroom in horror, she ran straight into the furious Tom. In desperation, Lisa forcefully closed the heavy iron door. Confirming Tom couldn't get in, the woman finally calmed down a bit. And Lato, trapped in the glass room, also contacted through the radio the Freedom Alliance that claimed to save the world. Suddenly, there was a sound from the ventilation duct. It turned out to be Lisa from the storeroom, who had found another escape route. Unfortunately, before she'd crawled halfway, she encountered Tom's fierce and evil face again. Lisa's heart shook with fear. With a misstep, she accidentally fell into another room. Under the weak green light, she saw the ground was covered with bones. This was actually the place where Tom dumped bodies. Lisa's legs went soft with fear. It took great effort to climb back to the previous storeroom. Through the keyhole, she saw Lato had already been taken out of the glass room by Tom. While struggling with what to do, a group of armed people suddenly broke in. It turned out the Freedom Alliance warriors had arrived. Lisa thought she'd met saviors and couldn't wait to reveal Lato's identity, saying she'd already written the secret passage to infiltrate Dream City in the diary. Who knew that after listening, the leading man actually ordered his subordinates to kill Lato? Looking at Lisa's incredulous eyes, the leader smiled evilly and said that survivors only needed to have the desire to enter Dream City. If dreams come true, who would still be willing to join the Freedom Alliance? At this moment, Lisa's faith completely collapsed. She never expected that the so-called Freedom Alliance were just villains under the banner of justice. They never wanted to save the world, only to use false visions to drive those pitiful survivors. While struggling, Lisa inadvertently touched the stun gun Kaiji left behind and directly shocked the leader unconscious. She didn't forget to pick up a book and smash it down hard. This kind of person didn't deserve to live in the world, even if this world was already broken and ruined. When Lisa cautiously walked out of the room, she saw that Tom had actually also counter-killed the remaining Freedom Warriors. However, he himself was also seriously injured. Before dying, Tom begged Lisa to take good care of this safe house. The stone materials on the ground were enough to support several months. Actually, from the beginning, he never believed in the so-called Freedom Alliance, nor did he think Dream City would be any better. Perhaps this safe house was humanity's last sanctuary. However, how could Lisa be willing? The notebook in her hand recorded the secret passage to infiltrate Dream City.
This was Lisa's greatest dream in life. In the end, she still followed the markings in the diary and came inside this long-desired high wall. Although it looks magnificent here, is it really the paradise of her dreams? The above is all the content of Doomsday 2064. This movie seems to have told two completely unrelated stories. Fortunately, from beginning to end, there were no awkward dance segments to be seen. This can also be considered some kind of breakthrough for Indian cinema. Okay, today's That the Ends. I welcome everyone to leave comments and discuss in the comments section. See you next time.